members of the Watch. We are now under high alert. Stay alert and detain any suspicious person on site. Attention all citizens. By order of the Lord Regent and the City Watch, all contaminated buildings are strictly off limits.
When we first started planning Dishonored, we were thinking about London in 1666, the year of the Great Fire and the last year of the Plague. But the more we worked on the game, the more steampunk elements we added, and we modernized it a little bit, and our art director added his own style. And so eventually we realized it was not on Earth. It's an alternative world, the Empire of the Isles, and a completely different setting, but it's an alternate Victorian environment. It's just a setting that you don't find very often in games. It's gamers are a little fatigued, I believe, because every game is either a science fiction game where you're a soldier fighting aliens, or you're just a special ops soldier, or you're in LA robbing banks, or it's a fantasy game with elves and dragons and whatever. And so we're very happy to be working on a setting that is fresh.
While playing, I've discovered, of course, that there are many ways to go around the level or the quest. Was it hard to design the levels to accompany that playstyle?
Yes, I have to tell you, it is harder to make this kind of game than most games. Like, obviously, if we were going to make a game that was room, hallway with a monster at the end, and you kill the monster, and that scripting unlocks a door after the monster's dead, that's a much simpler game, and therefore you can put more hours into polishing it so that it looks like a movie or whatever. But that's not our philosophy. At Arkane Studios, we very much believe in the style of game of Arx Fatalis or Dark Messiah or Deus Ex. Some people compare it to Thief or Bioshock, Stalker, Far Cry 2. There are these games that are systems-based, where things operate according to consistent rules, and the player can actually improvise and solve problems in ways we didn't predict.
There are a few skills in the game, like possession and the blink option, that I think make it especially hard for you to design the missions and to design the levels. You had to really take them into account, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we wanted was you can buy whatever power you can afford, right? So if you work really hard to collect all the runes, then by halfway through the game you can buy the best power. We did not want to give out one power in mission 1, a specific power in mission 2, a specific mission in power 3. We did not want to follow that unlock model, right? Because that's safer for the developer. It means that you can always know the player will never have possession in mission 3. They will not have possession until mission 5. So you can make some assumptions. But we don't like that. What we prefer is let the player decide, and then it's very hard for us. But when we kill ourselves to make this sort of game, and then the game comes out, the player can play it and he can do all kinds of different things. He can surprise us.
But still, you had to design the levels in a way that they can't be broken by things like possession and blink, I guess.
Yes, that is exactly what the level designers have to do. They have to assume that at any point the player can have any of the powers. So, our player could start with I think there's only one power you get. Everybody is marked by this figure called the Outsider. Mm-hmm. It's a supernatural figure. And everybody gets blink at level 1. But you could then finish the game without buying any more powers or upgrading blink. Or you could immediately try to upgrade blink because you're the explorer player and you find all the runes. Or you could never upgrade blink and instead keep saving the runes, and like by mission 4 buy bend time, which is like incredibly powerful. So we just can't predict what the player is going to do, but that's part of the charm. No two players have the same pathway through the game.
You can finish the game without being seen or anything like that?
Yeah, it's absolutely true that you can complete the game without killing anyone. You can kill almost everyone, but you can kill no one if you want. And everybody always asks, well, you mean, right, like not the main assassination targets? And we're like, no, 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 we mean no one. You can kill no one. And we had to work really hard to include support for all of that. But the way we do it is most guards you can trick, throw a bottle and they look the other way, and then you sneak by, or you stop time and slip past them. You can use stealth for most of them. It's hard, but you can ghost the game like that. And if you up the difficulty, their perception gets better as well, so the stealth challenge becomes harder. But for the key assassination targets, there are alternate story-based outcomes. So like, for instance, there are two brothers that are members of parliament. They're very corrupt, and they own a silver mine where they keep slaves in it, and they're very corrupt and bad people, and you get this mission to go kill them. However, if you do a side mission for this crime boss named Slackjaw, then you can actually set up a deal with him where he has them kidnapped, shaves their heads, cuts out their tongues, and puts them to work in their own slave mines, where for several years they'll work and nobody will know that they were the owners of the mine. So it's dark, it's poetic justice, but it's not killing.
The game is based in a city, Dunwall, on an island. I understand this island thing from a gameplay perspective because it limits the player, but is there a chance to get off the island?
The entire game takes place in the city of Dunwall, so it's even within one city. And you know, we could have made many different versions of Dishonored, but specifically, we believe in a very handcrafted mission approach. So mission to mission, it's very densely very detailed in terms of who lives there, and the plague is crushing the city, so it's not very densely populated, but it's rich in terms of it feels like you know who lived there. There's visual storytelling. You get a sense of the place, and I don't think you get that as much with wide open worlds. You know, so we went a little deeper into each mission, being very handcrafted.
I'm asking because when you tell about the game, there's always the backstory with one island, several islands, even more world around those islands, and that makes you wonder: is there more to be explored outside the city? But there isn't.
Well, there's a large world. We drew a large world map, and we have a history. We all work like dungeon masters in a role-playing game, where we like to think about the larger world and the culture and the history. And we have an event in the world called the Morley Insurrection, which is one of the islands that is sort of Ireland, Scotland-like, was at odds with the capital island. You know, there was a conflict, a naval conflict, and so none of this actually. You don't visit that period of history, for instance, but it informs the world in a way, in the notes and the characters and their behaviors.
But you have already a world planned out where you can have multiple games in, then?
We do have a larger world. I don't know if there'll be any more Dishonored games, but it definitely feels like we have a world that is larger than the game itself, and that the player catches that in the mind. You know, the player has that sense that there is a larger world around them, and we really like the effect that has. Also, I've considered before for my friends running game mastering a pen and paper RPG session set in the world, and I think that would be a lot of fun.
Killing me won't solve anything.